Here we go. Welcome back to the Michigan Business Beat, brought to you on the Michigan Business Network. Chris Holman coming to you from our downtown studios. And we're going to go a little remote here right now and spend a little time with Ryan Hundt, the CEO of the Michigan Works Association. Ryan, you're off honeymoon status now. You've been there as the CEO for 1 year. Let's talk a little bit about that. Give me some reflections. How are you feeling?
Sure. Thank you, Chris. Thanks for having me again. We've been doing this now, I think, for 12 months straight. Today is the 1 year anniversary for me joining the Michigan Works Association as the Chief Executive Officer. Things have been going very well for our organization and our members. There's been plenty of changes over these past 12 months. We have new directors in some of our membership organizations across the Michigan Works Network here in the state. We've also been able to offer new training opportunities for our members. We have a new policy academy that just launched earlier this year to give some additional insight and advice to individuals working specifically with policy guidance at the local Michigan Works offices. We've also strengthened our advocacy efforts and relationship building with a number of key partners across the state. And probably most importantly, we've had a return to in-person events, trainings, and workshops, starting with our legislative day back in March and our Impact Awards as well, which also took place in March. And Chris, thank you again for emceeing that wonderful event and getting us back to the in-person groove here for the Michigan Works Association.
Well, I have to say that was a huge accomplishment, right? And just to get people back in a room, there's something more. I mean, you did a marvelous job in your association of getting people in Zoom meetings. We felt comfortable. We kept up to date on everything. But there's something about being in a room with people that are actually, they have legs,
Could not agree more.
Yeah, it really makes a difference. All right, so let's talk about your accomplishments there, but your accomplishments you hope to have in the coming year.
Sure. The vision for the next year is really going to be guided by our strategic plan, and we are right in the middle of that strategic planning process currently. That process has had input not only from our board members, but also a number of key partners and stakeholders from around the state, many of whom help us move the needle on policy, education, and collaboration within the workforce system. We've already begun to identify some key strategic focus areas that will serve as the heart and soul for our long-term strategic plan. Things like strengthened advocacy, brand imaging, professional development, and diversifying our funding sources. And so that process will really help shape our vision for the second year under my tenure as CEO for the Michigan Works Association. And we are excited to have that new long-term strategic plan in place, likely in Q4 of this year or Q1 of 2023.
Well, you got a lot of great stuff that's happening on the horizon as well. Let's talk a little bit about the advocacy work that you've done, because that's probably the most essential work that you do at your association. You had some pretty good victories this year.
Yeah, certainly the advocacy component is really a central component to our value-added proposition to our members and our stakeholders across the state. When we talk advocacy, I can think back to the US DOL proposed rule for Wagner-Peiser Employment Services staffing that you and I had touched on a few episodes ago when we talked earlier in the spring this year. And through those efforts, we were significantly opposed to those proposed rules, or strongly opposed, I should say. And through those efforts and outreach and mobilizing our membership base and our stakeholders, we were able to obtain over 1,500 individual signatures on our statement of support, representing about 600 organizations throughout the state of Michigan, many of which were key partners in a number of areas from education to private sector to economic development and workforce development. We were really proud of the way that we were able to mobilize support around one key central issue that could have a negative impact, a drastically negative impact on our workforce development system here in the state of Michigan. Outside of Wagner-Peiser, we're still waiting to hear on the final ruling from the U.S. Department of Labor on what that may look like. Outside of the Wagner-Peiser piece, though, we also recently went on a trip to Washington, D.C. to talk with members of our congressional delegation on Wagner-Peiser and a number of other federal workforce priorities and issues. And you can find all of our federal legislative priorities on our website at michiganworks.org. We're also focused right now on trade adjustment assistance reauthorization to ensure that job seekers or individuals and workers in Michigan who are impacted in any way, shape, or form by global trade, whether that's a reduction in wages or the loss of their job. They're able to be supported through programs like trade adjustment assistance. And so we're hopeful that by the end of this year, we'll have that program reauthorized at the federal level as well.
You know, it's interesting. People don't realize the ramifications of a certain segment of the population not being at work. I just saw that the eviction rates are back to pre-COVID-19 levels, and that doesn't bode well. Now, I'll tell you one thing I'm excited about, and I know you are too. You have your upcoming annual meeting. Tell us about that.
Sure. Our annual conference is coming up September 11th through the 13th at Soaring Casino and Resort in Mount Pleasant. That will be our first in-person annual conference since 2019. It's also the state of Michigan's largest workforce development conference each and every year. When I started last year on August 9th, 2021, we were about 1 month out from the annual conference, and that was virtual. Planning for an in-person event is a whole different ballgame, but fortunately we have a wonderful and talented staff who are laser focused right now on ensuring that annual conference goes off without any issues. This year's conference, we're going to feature keynote presentations from Lila Lazarus and Dwayne Gill. We also have an outstanding panel discussion taking place during the lunch session on Monday, September 12th. That will feature Stephanie Beckhorn from Michigan's Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity, Kaisha Frazier from the Corporation for a Skilled Workforce. She is currently a vice president at CSW, and she will be the new CEO of CSW beginning January 1st, 2023, upon Larry Good's retirement. We certainly wish Larry the best in his next adventure. The panel will also feature Carrie Ebersol from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation and Terry Weems from Detroit Employment Solutions Corporation, our Michigan Works member in the Detroit area. Really excited about that panel. We also have a number of informative workshops on a range of topics from adult education to childcare, accessibility, apprenticeships, and best practices from across the Michigan Works Network. A huge thank you to all of our sponsors, especially our executive sponsors, which this year right now includes Consumers Energy, the W.K. Kellogg Foundation, Meta, and the Michigan Department of Transportation. We look forward to seeing everyone September 11th through the 13th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort in Mount Pleasant. If you have not yet registered, please visit our website at michiganworks.org and do so today.
Well, it's a great time, and you're doing a great job, my friend. Keep it moving forward. Ryan Hundt, the CEO of the Michigan Works Association. I'm Chris Holman. You're watching the Michigan Business Beat on the Michigan Business Network. We'll be right back.